ran around the floor of the Texas Senate and single-handedly got 13 of my colleagues to sign a letter that said, we will not allow this bill to be brought up. We stopped it from happening in Texas. And the latest, if you live in some of these communities, is the issue of K2, where our children, this is a legal substance right now. And when the city of McKinney and the school and the city council came to me and said, we need your help, I am fighting with the communities to get rid of legalization of K2 and all the substances that are involved with it. Today, I can also tell you that I am responding to my district's clarion call to return to the basics of our founding fathers in our schools. I am very proud to serve as a chair for the Conservative Coalition's Committee on Western Civilization. The days are long gone, and we can just hope that all of our values will continue simply by osmosis from generation to generation. We must require that our institutions of education, whether they be public or higher education, that they begin to teach and reteach over and over and over again about our country's founding. And so, here we are today, as you heard, on the eve of an historic election, a very important national election, and an opportunity to send out a loud and clear message to Washington. I only ask one thing of you today. I ask that you don't paint us, the legislators in Austin, with the same broad brushstroke that we are all painting Washington. Please know that we are not the same beings. We haven't got the same tendencies that they do. Let me give you 3 quick examples. In Texas, we have a balanced budget. We cannot spend more money than we have. We cannot utilize more money than we've got. We must balance our budget, and we must do it every session because we have a balanced budget amendment. I declare to you today, I've already sent a letter to Washington with many names of my colleagues on it to say we need a balanced budget. We need a balanced budget amendment. I will co-author a balanced budget amendment in the Texas legislature. And for those of you who don't know, it takes 2/3 of the states to get a balanced budget amendment as a constitutional amendment in the United States. And I think under today's scenario, that can happen. The second thing is they can tack any bill onto another bill that has no semblance to that particular bill. If there's a topic, they can put anything on it they want. And I'll give you a great example. Lloyd Doggett. For those of you that have been following education, Lloyd Doggett had on a war appropriations bill an education jobs appropriations amendment. Had nothing to do with the topic. Nothing. And the third and most important, I think, we go to Austin for 140 days a year. 140 days a year. Every other year. If they would listen to their constituents and not spend 365 days a year in Washington, they might learn to live under the laws that they impose on us, which they do not do, and we do in Texas. It is very important as we go through this process that we understand that the most important thing we're going to do next session, starting in January, is balance the budget. And I am calling on every single one of you to join me in balancing the budget. Potentially $18 billion short. We did it in 2003 at $11 billion short, and we can do it again, and we will. I appreciate your allowing me the opportunity to be here with you. I am really looking forward to the questions and answers, because so often I learn more from you than you could ever learn from me standing up here in the front of the room. Thank you.
Government, even at its best, is a necessary evil. So said Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers that Senator Shapiro just referenced in her speech. Government, even at its best, is a necessary evil. And I believe this applies not only to the federal government, which I think most of us would agree with, even the senator and I, but also the state government as well. I think we need a smaller state government. It's not just a question of continuing to grow this. The senator, well, let me talk about this first. First, I believe the purpose of government, as articulated in the Declaration of Independence and as codified in the Constitution of the United States, and for that matter, the Constitution of the state of Texas, is to preserve the individual liberties, to preserve individuals' rights. It's not to protect us. I know that's some tough love, but the purpose of government is not to protect all of us. The purpose of government is to preserve our individual liberties. And these are the things that I think have gone askew, both in the state and the federal government. I believe the senator and all politicians absolutely have the best of intentions with all of the laws that they pass. There's no doubt. I've met many politicians in the last couple of months in running here, and there's no one that I would classify as having evil intentions in any way. I just unfortunately think that they have succumbed to what is called the fallacy of the precautionary principle. Precautionary principle is a risk term that I learned in project management, and what it talks about is even if there's the slightest risk of something happening, we must do something. And in fact, the BBC show, Yes Minister, even had a play on this. If you look it up, I have it on my website somewhere, where they talk about this as politicians' logic. And what it says is this: we must do something, this is something, therefore we must do it. And I think that what we miss is what Frederick Bastiat, I studied economics the last couple of years of my life, what Bastiat talks about is that which is unseen. We see the things that are seen. We certainly see the things that the senator and others have talked about. But we miss that which is unseen, the regulations that are in place that restrict our freedom. I was up at the Samaritan Inn earlier today, and I know the senator's name is prominently displayed in the lobby. And good for her. They take no government money. I talked with them about how they don't run a daycare center because of the restrictions that it would take for them to do so. They would have to put all of these extra things in to be able to take care of these kids. They would like to do it, they just can't. Again, because of the restrictions that the Texas government puts on them. All, again, with the best of intentions. The senator passed a law a couple of years ago about daycare centers and making sure that kids are taken care of when they come off the buses. Another child died earlier this week, and I saw the senator with a mother on TV. Very compassionate. It made a lot of sense. But see, even these laws that we pass, we can't protect everybody. That's not government's role. Just enough a little bit about government. I do want to do an introduction of myself. As you heard earlier, I was born in Brooklyn. I think the senator was also born in New York City, which I think is relatively interesting that we now had to come to Texas to have a New York conversation.
I'm a lot older than you are.
Well,
I left a long time ago.
Yes, I only left eight years ago. That's true. But I was raised on Long Island, and my grandmother had a saying, "You're American first, but Irish always," she said to me. And I think that's how I really tried to live my life. I got rid of most of my accent, by the way, when I took theater classes in college. It comes back every so often, but especially if I have a beer or two. But we'll leave that for some other time. I started a business. And that's when I learned that small businesses were the wealth creation and job creation engine of not only the state, but the federal government, in fact, the world. Wealth is created every day in small businesses. And what we've got to do is significantly pull down some of the restrictions that are stopping our people from creating new jobs in this state. Again, not because these laws aren't well-intentioned, they are, but they get in the way. I'm remarried to my Texas Aggie wife, sitting in the second row over here, Christine. And we have two beautiful children, again, living in Allen. I work for Sage Software, as was mentioned earlier. And what I do is I work with small businesses. Every single day of my career has been dedicated to the growth of small businesses. And I really do think that it's in small businesses where, again, that wealth is created. It doesn't happen through governments. In a sense, the senator talked about Robin Hood. In a sense, all of government is Robin Hood to some extent or another. Every dollar that government spends, it must get from somewhere else. It doesn't create anything, especially a state government, which doesn't have the ability to coin money or print money. We can't do it that way. So, again, I think there are certain things that we do need to talk about, and I welcome your questions as well. It's interesting, the senator said that we hope that you wouldn't be painting the Republicans in the state of Texas with the same brush that you're painting those in Washington. Well, I disagree. I disagree. There's a $193 billion unfunded liability in the state of Texas. That's not reported.